The morning isn't morning without coffee. Welcome to Wonderland. It's Ari here, and today I'm doing the coffee book tag. I actually did this tag once before on my channel, so consider this the coffee book tag 2.0 with some updated answers and, a fresher, more mature Erica. Because last time I did this tag, I was a lot younger. So this tag was originally created by Bangity Bangs. Again, I was not tagged by anybody to do this. I'm never tagged by anybody to do any tags, especially since I be late to the game when doing book tags. But I heard book tags are, like the best way to get people to find your channel and the easiest way for people to find my channel. So I'm going to redo this tag with some updated answers and sipping coffee throughout the entire video. But I will edit it out so I'm not just solely drinking coffee. So let's get into it. So the first question is Black. Pick a book or series that is hard to get into but has hardcore fans. This answer is actually not going to change. I wholeheartedly still agree with Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas or even A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Basically, any Sarah J. Maas books I find hard to get into, but everyone who you bring Sarah J. Maas up and everyone loves her or loves her books or whatever. Sure, there are some things that are like wrong with the books or whatever that some people say they might have like a couple of minor issues, but if you talk about Sarah J. Maas, you're not going to hear anything but good things about this series or good things about her other books and her other series and upcoming works, and just she's just an intimidating author. Oh my god. But I've only read the first book, Throne of Glass, but I cannot get into the series to save my life. I tried reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. I think that series is a little bit easier. Still haven't finished it yet, but hopefully I will. And since it's being extended, I am kind of scared. Again, that's the whole point of this. But yeah, for Black, I'm going to continue to go with this. And I love that my coffee is not black. Okay, next question is Peppermint Mocha. Name a book that gets more popular during the winter or a festive time of year. For this, I have a more broad answer, kind of. So I have two books for two broad answers to this specific question. So first off, I want to say that any book that takes place in the winter has a wintry cover or theme or a wintry setting, Christmassy setting, anything like that. I think it's more popular during the winter time because it takes place at a cold time. So why not read it during a cold time? Grab a nice hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate or a warm drink and just read a book with a wintry cover. So for this, I have We Are Okay by Nina LaCour because it has this like snowy, wintry cover, and then even the end papers is like snowy and wintry. So that's one broadish example. And my other broadish example is retellings and short story anthologies. Specifically, if the retelling or short story anthology has anything to do with classic winter tales, like The Nutcracker or Beauty and the Beast, or just anything like that in general, but also short story anthologies generally, because usually during the festive time, you're around family, you're around friends, you're not really doing a lot of reading, but you have that want to read something in the year on a good note with the final book to wrap up your readathon challenge or to wrap up your reading goal challenge or whatever, and you want something short and sweet but something good to snuggle up with. People usually pick up a lot of short story anthologies, or they pick up retellings of, classic fairy tales and winter tales and folklore tales and stuff like that. Kind of give you that campfire-esque mood, like tell a story by the campfire with, hot chocolate and stuff like that. And this actually has a couple of wintry short stories in it. And one short story in here is actually a retelling of The Nutcracker, which is a famous wintry tale. So those are my two answers for this question. Man, my coffee is good. Okay. Hot chocolate. What is your favorite children's book? All of my children's books are at my dad's in a nice little bin or on my old children's bookshelf that, doubled as a toy box. It was a bookshelf at the top, but a toy box at the bottom. If you're like 20 years and older, you understand what I'm talking about. But my favorite children's books, besides the Dr. Seuss books, obviously, were the these children books called The English Roses by Madonna. Yes, that Madonna. Um, the first book was actually a children's picture book, but then the characters kind of got their own series that was kind of like elementary school slash middle grade esque kind of series. I remember owning a couple of them. Again, I don't have them with me, they're at my dad's. But I remember loving that story. I don't know how I would feel about it reading it as an older person. If I could go back to my dad's house and find them, I would probably reread them. But I just remember loving that story so much. And the characters were drawn kind of cool to me. And each of them had their own personalities. And I had a favorite character. And it just talked about, like, like accepting and making new friends and stuff like that. So I remember loving that children's book very, very much. So the next question is Double Shot of Espresso. Name a book that kept you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. And for this one, I'm going to go with The Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I did not like the main character, but I did like the story. I did like the villain. I did like the action in this book. It was a really good book. I was just like always wanting more, and the ending got me like, whoa, okay. I think all of Leigh Bardugo's books apply to this question, and I'm looking forward to her new book, King of Scars, which stars Nikolai. Nikolai is like my favorite character. I swear, he's like everyone's favorite character. Him and the Darkling, even though the Darkling's the villain. But I just like remember always like, what is happening? What is going on? And freaking out. And it didn't help that I was also going back and forth between reading the physical book and listening to the audiobook whenever I was at work. So I'm just like on my computer at work and I'm like, what? And then I'm just like trying not to react around my coworkers because I don't want them being like, Erica, what's wrong with you? I'm listening to a very intense high fantasy book. So that is my answer for this question. So the next one is Starbucks. Name a book that you see everywhere. Now here's an updated answer for this question. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I'm very confident that I said her name right. So if I said it wrong, don't crush my spirits. But I am seeing this book everywhere, and I am glad that I'm seeing it everywhere because this book, nothing but great things. It's picked up to be turned into a movie. I don't know when. I haven't got any more details besides that. And I just see it everywhere. I see her everywhere. And it doesn't help that I follow her Instagram and her Twitter. So every time I open my social media up, there's either a picture with this book, a story with this book, or an interview of her, or just posters and fan art and just everywhere. And it's a hunk of burning love of a book because it is huge. But I hear it's so good. I did start it, but I'm not at the point where I'm like fully into it, as you can see. So I'm not like fully into it like everyone else is, but I hope to get fully into it because I want to know what the hype is about around this book. But I think it deserves all the hype that it's getting. And plus, it's one of those books that if I take off the dust jacket and just leave it on my bookshelf, it'll look like a tome or like this ancient book of mythical fantasticness. And I love it. And I love that this is the Barnes& and Noble edition because this red is gorgeous. This red is gorgeous. The black is gorgeous too, but this red it's just gorgeous. I love it. So next question is the hipster coffee shop. Give a book by an indie author a shout out. I'm going to shout out Austin Chant for his books. They're actually pretty good. He has Peter Darlin, Coffee Boy, and Caroline's Heart. Those are the only three I know of. If he written any others, I do not know of them. I am sorry. But I've heard nothing but good things about these books. I've read Caroline's Heart and I actually liked it. And I want to read Peter Darling because that's the one that I hear the most about. People who read his work, that's the one I hear the most about because it's a Peter Pan retelling. But Peter Pan is trans and that is just something awesome that I want to read. And Coffee Boy because all his books have trans characters in it. So I want to read more of those. So I'm giving him a shout out. So hopefully I read more of his stuff in the future. And so the next question is, oops, I accidentally got Decaf. Name a book you were expecting more from. I'm going to go with Madness by Zach Brewer for this question. I love Zach Brewer. I respect him. I love his work. Oh my God, they're all amazing. But Madness was something I was expecting a little bit more from. Trigger warning for this book for suicide and depression. And yes, when I was reading this book, I was a little bit triggered, just a little bit. Clinically depressed person was a little bit triggered, but I'm fine now, okay? I was expecting a little more from this book. It touched on a couple of things that I did not like, and not just for personal experience, but I mean like as far as like experience in general, as far as like with depression and dealing with suicide and blah blah blah. And certain aspects of this book kind of reminded me personally of Heathers, that old 80s movie that kind of got a revamp and also became a play, a musical, what really. And I kind of got Heather vibes from this book, which is kind of why it made me feel like I didn't hate this book. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would either. I just thought there could have been more from it as far as on the suicide and depressional front. Um, the relationship in this book, I thought there could have been a little more from it. I mean, it was a toxic relationship, yes, but I thought it could have been a little more pressed on, probably to give it more depth and more emotion to it on why it was hard for her to leave him and stuff like that. That's not a spoiler. Toxic relationships, you need to leave the person. So I was just expecting more from this book. I could do a whole book discussion about this, but I'm not going to because then this video will be super, super long. But this is the book I was expecting more from. And then the final question for this tag is the perfect blend. Name a book or series that was both bitter and sweet, but ultimately satisfying. And for this one, it's kind of strange answer, but I'm going to go with They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Adam Silvera is known for writing books that just make me want to cry all the time or punch me in the feels and make me sad, but they always have a sweet element to it. Where like the relationship is sweet, the romance is sweet, the characters falling in love is sweet, and just like or whatever. And the title itself is a huge fucking spoiler. And yes, I cursed, but it's okay. It's a huge spoiler. They both die at the end. So you know this book is going to be sad, but the way it ended was kind of satisfying. One, because you know they're going to both die at the end. But the ending was satisfying in a way to where I was like, oh my God, my heart. But it's such a good story, and the characters' relationship, their friendship, and then ultimate romantic feelings was done really, really well, and I was happy about it. So I just loved him for this book, man. This has to be one of Adam Silvera's best work. Like it has to be one of his best work, and I'm looking forward to more stuff that he's writing in the future. But I was just so satisfied with this book. I loved it. So that is it for the coffee book tag. If you haven't done this tag yet, as always, you could say that I tagged you if you want to do it. Mm, coffee is so good, y'all. It's so, so good. If you want to get notified when I post new videos, you can subscribe down below, leave a comment down below of what you thought of this video or whatever, and hit the thumbs up button if you liked it. But thank you guys for watching this video, and remember to keep calm and keep reading.